Jai Shri Ram. Today we are going to talk about Ayodhya. I am also going to give you a background, as is the custom of our channel, without prejudice to any community, creed, religion or otherwise, so that you have a three-dimensional perspective of the problem. In ancient days, Ayodhya was divided by the river Saryu or Ghagra river. In the north was Uttar Kaushal and in the south was Banhoga. The capital of Banhoga was Ayodhya. It is mentioned in Vayu Puran that Lav, who was the son, one of the two sons of Lord Ram, ruled from Uttar Kaushal. Shravasti was the capital of Uttar Kaushal. From the accounts of Yuan Sang and other Chinese travelers and from the Buddhist scriptures in Ceylon, Shravasti was the capital of Ayodhya. Later on, the name had been changed to Saket. On the south province of this river, Ram's second son Kush ruled from the city where Ram was born, Ayodhya. When the excavations were conducted by ASI, several scholars raised doubt that whatever was excavated belonged to the 7th or 8th century, while Ram was born much earlier. Also, they say that Ayodhya was a very prosperous, big capital city, while the excavations, whatever they have revealed, are indicative of a primitive civilization. They also say that Buddhist and Jain scriptures talk about Shravasti of the Kaushal state and Saket also, but they do not mention Ayodhya. In these scriptures, whenever Ayodhya is mentioned, it's on the banks of the river Ganga, while Ayodhya is located on the banks of the river Saryu. Then they say that in the scriptures from the 8th century, there is no mention of Ayodhya. Also, they say there is no mention of Ayodhya in Babarnama. For example, in 3.95 Sar of Sanyukta Nikaya is a compilation of sacred sayings of Lord Buddha. It's written that one day Mahatma Buddha was strolling along the banks of Ganga in Ayodhya. Now, Ayodhya is located on the banks of the river Saryu, but they forget that it is also written that Ganga is a noun that is normally, whenever we address any pious, sacred river, it can be named as Ganga. So, Ganga is not only the Ganges river or the Ganga river, it is a name also, it's a noun also. Similarly, they also mention that once Lord Buddha was strolling in Kaushambi on the banks of the river Ganga. But everybody knows that Kaushambi is located not on the banks of the river Ganga, but on the banks of the river Yamuna. So it is, Ganga is just a noun in these cases. In Raghuvansham, written by Kalidas in 5th century, he mentions Ayodhya and Saket as two names of one city. There is no evidence in history that the name was changed by Skandagupta, as is normally believed. Skandagupta was the Gupta ruler who died in 467. He had transferred the capital from Patliputra, today's Patna, to Ayodhya. The reason I am trying to establish that Ayodhya was there and this is the place where Lord Ram was born is because several people, especially the lawyer of Waqf board, Jilani Sahab, he keeps on saying that yes, there was a temple, there may have been a temple, but it is not where Lord Rama was born. Lord Ram's birthplace is somewhere else, it's not here. So I have to establish that yes, Ayodhya is the place and this is it. I would like to tell you the background and the mindset of those people, those Islamic people whom Babur represented during the reign of Harshavardhan, Islam, when it was introduced, was a religion before it became politically aggressive in 10th century. I'll take you to the genesis or to the background of it, as is the custom of our channel. From northwest frontier in Balochistan and from North Africa, West Asia, South Europe came news that a new prophet Muhammad had arisen in Arabia and that his religion was Islam. Now, Arabs got a new lease of life due to this new religion, and they started sending missions, armies to provinces after provinces, conquering them in different continents. Arabs reached Balochistan, in fact, even during Harsha's times, and they conquered Sindh there. Arabs could not proceed further in Hindustan, and for many centuries they had friendly relations with the Indian rulers, and especially with Rashtrakuts. Many Arabs settled in the west coast of India, built their mosques there in their settlements, and more or less lived in peace, because the Hindu religion or the people living there are very tolerant. They used to preach Islam and even converted some people into Islam, not the way they were subsequently treated. It was more or less by the dictates of the Quran. They persuaded them. Some people liked Islam, so they got converted into Islam. No objections were raised by the state or by the people, because, as I said, the Indian tradition is very tolerant of all faiths. Now, when the politicizing of it happened in 11th century, the Islam started or tended to become offender. They started committing offenses. Therefore, the toleration gave way to conflict and hatred. These invasions were not from Arabs, but from some Central Asian tribes who had been converted to Islam. The invader who came first to India was the Sultan of Ghazni, and his name was Mahmud. He came largely to loot, murder, and rape. Mahmud used to invade India almost every year and took back vast treasures, mainly from the temple of Somnath. And he also took countless captives, prisoners, slaves, craftspeople back home. He wanted that his Ghazni should rival the great cities of Central and Western Asia. It is surprising how people tolerated the atrocities which were now beginning to affect the people. I'll now give you a sequential series of events that happened after its demolition in 1528. For the next 356 years, nobody made any claim on the land. It started with the British in 1884. On the 19th of January 1885, the sub-judge of Faizabad, Pandit Harikishan, gave his verdict in favor of the Mahant Raghubar Das, who had given an application to make the temple. But Colonel J.E.S. Chambers, he said that since the structure in the dispute is 356 years old, let there be the status quo. In December 1949, about 90 years later, Ram, Lakshman, Sita, their idols were found in the structure. The district magistrate K.K. Narayan took it in his custody and locked the disputed structure. From 1949 to 1986, there was no order from any court that the structure should be locked. In February 1950, a suit was filed in the court of Faizabad. Gopal Singh Visharad on 16 January 1950 asked for the rights to pray in the structure for Hindus. The magistrate ordered that the idols will not be removed from the structure, but the Hindus can perform their pujas, their ceremonies outside the gate. Nirmohi Paramhans Ramchand Das of Ram Janma Bhumi Nyas and from Nirmohi Akhada, they demanded from the government the right of the land. Now, there were 3 cases in the court. On December 61, the lawyer of Sunni Waqf Board, Muhammad Hashim Ansari, filed a petition to remove the idols and the right of Hindus to perform puja. He also said that we will not stay away from the disputed territory which they were asked to stay away for 150 yards. And he said that we will perform our namaz, and he gave a notice to this effect. 2 years later, in 1964, there was a solution in sight, and for the solution a date was also fixed by the court. But for the next 12 years there was no movement, no petition, no hearing, no nothing, until 1983. In 1984, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Bajrang Dal, Shiv Sena and BJP started the temple agitation. On the plea of Umesh Chand Pandey, on 1st February 86, the lock was broken and the gate was open. The district magistrate of Faizabad, K.M. Pandey, gave permission for the worshipping by Hindus. Now, Ansari gave a writ petition to stop the practice of praying by Hindus. But Allahabad court again declared a status quo. Because the lock had not been put under any court's order, it had to be opened, and it was opened on 1st February 1986. Then Babri Masjid Action Committee was formed. On 11th November 86, Vishwa Hindu Parishad performed puja, prayers. On 10th July 1989, High Court joined all the 4 petitions into one, and the matter was referred to a 3-judge bench. On 10th November 1989, after performing the puja and rites, Vishwa Hindu Parishad placed the foundation stone for Ram Mandir. But next day, the magistrate of Faizabad put a stop to any construction on the site. The whole scenario changed in 1990. On 25th September 1990, Shri L.K. Advani started a Rath Yatra from Somnath to Ayodhya. It had to cover 10,000 kilometers and had to reach Ayodhya on 30th October 1990. But on 23rd October, he was arrested. A livid BJP took back the support it had provided to the Vishwanath Pratap Singh's government. On 7th November 1990, Vishwanath Pratap resigned as Prime Minister. On 10th November 90, Sri Chandrasekhar became the next Prime Minister. He tried to settle, but there was no solution that he could find. 4 months later, the government of Chandrasekhar fell, and on 21st June 1991, Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao became the next Prime Minister. 18 months after taking over the Prime Ministership, Mr. Rao was now going to go through the most tedious phase of his life in his political career. In 1991, as soon as the BJP government came in power, Kalyan Singh became the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, and 2.77 acre, the disputed land, he took in the government custody. But the Muslim organizations filed a plea in Allahabad High Court and in Supreme Court to the effect that there should be no construction on the disputed land. Their lawyer Ansari said that the land had been acquired for the purpose of tourism and that the land was a graveyard, therefore the property of the Waqf board. So please leave this land and make your temple anywhere else. On 30th October 92, a Dharm Sansad was held by Vishwa Hindu Parishad, and it was decided there that since the talks had failed, there will be a car seva in Ayodhya on the 6th of December 1992. On 27th November 92, Supreme Court obtained assurance from Kalyan Singh government that there will be no construction on the disputed land. Kalyan Singh promised it in the Rashtriya Ekta Parishad also. Now, Supreme Court also said that no car sevak should be stopped from going to Ayodhya and there should be no firing on them. Now, this was a crucial statement which was exploited for political ends. Therefore, no attempt was made to stop car sevaks coming from all over the country. A day before the fateful day of the 6th December 92, 250,000 car sevaks had gathered in Faizabad and Ayodhya. On the 6th of December, the car seva began. 150 meters away from the disputed land, a stage was constructed where Mr. L.K. Advani, Mr. Joshi and Mr. Ashok Singhal and other leaders of the same stature delivered their speeches. At 11 o'clock, the 250,000 strong mob sloganed. 2 o'clock, the first dome was demolished. At 3 o'clock, the second, and at 4:30, the third came down too. In Delhi, Prime Minister Rao got the news and he hurriedly convened a cabinet meeting at 6:30 p.m. It was decided to place the Uttar Pradesh under the president rule. Kalyan Singh resigned and in contempt of court he was sentenced to jail for 1 day. But Kalyan Singh said that this was not because of the contempt of court but his inability to stop the construction of one of the Singh Gurdwaras at the site. 10 days after demolishing the structure, the retired judge of Supreme Court, Mr. M.S. Librahan, was appointed to investigate. The Librahan Commission worked for 17 years to investigate. Now, under an ordinance, the centre took in its possession the 70 acres of land around the disputed place. For the next 10 years, there was no attempt to solve or to move the situation further to a solution. In 2003, Allahabad Court ordered ASI, Archaeological Survey of India, that it should conduct excavations to find if there was a temple beneath the structure. On 12th March till 6th June, 131 car sevaks excavated below the disputed structure. In August 2003, a 574 pages report from ASI was submitted to Allahabad High Court. The lawyer of the Waqf board, Mr. Zafar Yab Jilani, he said that whatever was found in the excavation was from the surface of the land only, which has no value. Harishankar Jain, the lawyer for the Hindu Mahasabha, claimed that pillars and the idols of the Hindu deities were found in the excavation. 13 years after the demolition of the structure, on 6th July 2005, Allahabad High Court included the name of Mr. L.K. Advani on the charge of inciting the crowd on the 6th of December. The charges were formed on 28 July in the court of Rai Bareli against Mr. L.K. Advani. On 30th June 2009, the commission submitted its report to the Prime Minister, but the Prime Minister did not take any action. On 30th September 2010, the Lucknow court divided the 2.5 acre land which had been acquired in 3 parts. The first went to Ram Janmabhoomi Nyas, the second to Sita Rasoi and Ram Chabutra, and the third to Nirmohi Akhada. 2 of the judges of the Allahabad High Court said that since the Muslims have been performing namaz here for a long time, so 1/3 of the 2.2 acres of land should be given to the Muslims. Now in 2017, the activities again have started. There is a lot of construction material now coming at the disputed site, apparently to build the temple. In this case, there happens to be sentiments attached. It's not a purely political issue. As far back as I can remember, in my childhood, we had friends. As I grew up, they started becoming Muslims, Hindus, Christians, Jains, etc. I have no idea that the child I used to, or I still assist in paying his education or other expenses, is a Muslim. Nor did the child know. Perhaps when he came to know about Hindu and Muslim, his innocent mind was confused. So it is up to us to explain to them that this is radicalism. It's not the tenet of Islam. Islam doesn't advocate the kind of violence, hatred, etc. in the communities. You see, it's a matter of faith, of astha. This is an epic. So you cannot expect to derive scientific proofs of geography or of history. You have a point there, logical point, maybe from the lawyer's point of view it is fine. But you have to understand that a lot of feelings are attached to it. What do you think? How do you think it was demolished? As I said, it was demolished in 1528 by Mir Baqi, the general of Babur. How do you think it would have happened? Did Babur consult his council of ministers? Did he make a mosque forming committee? Did he hold debates between Hindus and Muslims? Oh, we are going to demolish Ram Janmabhoomi temple, so let there be a debate. Should it be? No. Simply Mir Baqi was dispatched. And look at Mir Baqi. Go into his mind when he is galloping towards Ayodhya to demolish it, and on the way he is demolishing some small and bigger temples. When he would stop for a rest for the night in his camp, it would be going in his mind, look, we are here to create history. Posterity will like to know all that we are doing. Nobody would know me if I am only confined to destroying these smaller temples. Now here is a temple which is Hindu's biggest sacred place. If I destroy that temple, if I demolish that temple, I'd be known in history forever, not in Islamic history alone, but in the history of the world also. So there he goes. There he says, okay, just bring down that kalash, bring down these beautiful columns where the deities, etc. have been engraved, deface the deities, and kill anybody who protests. Even those who do not protest. The children were killed, women were abducted and raped, men of course were killed. And there was no logic to it. Please try to understand this. Let better sense prevail. Whose land was it? When Arabs came, when Islam came, when it started getting converted into aggression, then these robbers, these luteras, dacoits, rapists, murderers, they took over. And somehow their interpretation of Quran, because I know many Maulvis, I have many Muslim friends. I mean, till a few years ago they were friends, now they are Muslim friends. All of them are rather embarrassed the way their ancestors behaved. They say, no, it's not written in Quran that if you do not believe in Islam, you should be killed. So whatever interpretation these Babur and his likes, Muhammad Ghori, Muhammad Mahmud Ghaznavi, Aibaks, Iltutmish, Muhammad Ghori, Sayyids, Lodhis, whatever they interpreted, it was probably not ordained in Quran. So in that interpretation, they demolished temples, they created havoc, they forcibly converted Islam, and it was kind of, they tried hard to Islamize the whole of India, but somehow they could not, because Hinduism is not an institution. There is no head of the institution. It's the way of life that cannot be destroyed. That's the reason it has survived from time immemorial. So they took our land. Now the land is ours. And now you say, we won't give you the land. In other words, you won't give us our land that belongs to us. You seem to be giving it as a charity. Okay, give 1/3 to these people, Hindus. For God's sake. It's just a piece of land for you. For us, it's a piece of land with a lot of religious sentiments attached. I'm basically not a fanatic. I'm not very religious man either. But basically, I feel that if you show large-heartedness, for which Islam is famous, you would probably be earning more in terms of goodwill all over the world. Look at the image you would create of a tolerant Islam religion. So my humble appeal is, whatever limited knowledge I have, I would very much request the lawyers like Gilani, Zafaryab Gilani ji, etc., and more of his ilk, to kindly consider that is it our fault that our constitution gives everybody a right to speak and claim and all that, and should we abuse the freedom to speak or to act? We should be grateful, in fact, to be living in a secular country like India. So I would appeal. I'm nobody, but as an ordinary citizen of India, I think let better sense prevail, and things should be settled by talking, as is desired by the courts also. With these words, I conclude. Thank you very much. Jai Shri Ram.